I want to start looking at a little bit of bounces in our kick. So almost taking that inside-outside motion, I want you to add a little bounce to it. Alana, you might remember some of this in the group classes as well. Take picture like a little mini fence, and it doesn't matter what foot we're working on right now. We're going to switch it up, go up and over that fence, and then back over, touching each time. Yep. Gonna get a little burn on this one. Let's go for about 20 seconds. Ten more seconds. Good. Shake that out, let's switch legs right into it. Keep that momentum going, up and over. Ten more seconds. And up. Awesome. Shake that out. Let's take that warm up to the hips, up to the shoulders. And we're just going to work our rotation. Almost think of hitting a forward bow in each direction, but we're going to let the heels come up. We've done this a couple times in class. We're going to start just with our punch. So with our cross punch, every time we rotate, and try to stay low on this one. Don't let yourself rise in between. Keep those knees bent. Another 20 seconds. Here we go. Good. Let's add a little bit more shoulders into it. That same movement on the lower half. Open up the hands. And on this one, we're going to take the back arm, and we're going to rein the claw. And the front arm, think about hitting back to the groin or the bladder. So you might even hit a little bit more of a twist in this one to unlock those shoulders. Think of the end of finger set, right? With both your claws to the front and to the back. We're going to be adding that to our little shoulder hip turn here. So rotate back arm, got my rein claw, front arm turns into the bladder shot, and rotate. Rotate. If you end up getting that twist, see if you can land in it without a stumble. A little bit of your sink. Catch your balance. Good. So let's continue moving upwards in here, going to a little bit more classical. And I'm going to break some collapses, which we'll explore in some of our techniques, modifying some Kempo techniques that we already know, and reversing that into extensions. So my collapsing motion, a lot of you have seen already, anytime I hit with my extended weapon, I can always let that weapon shrink down and condense into that shorter range target. We're just going to use our good old front two knuckle punches here. I'm going to use my hips as I turn, but then we're going to add a second part, let the bow break, and rotate that into a roundhouse elbow. So same thing on the other side. I've got my punch, collapse, pop, pop. Now, I want you to really walk a fine line when we drill this out. Of when we hit it, not staying too long on that punch before the collapse, and not flowing through it so that we're missing the value of that first strike. And actually, to get both of those ideas into it, let's first break it down phonetically. So I'm going to give you a 1 on the punch, almost like striking set, 2, collapse that elbow.
I think.
1.
Why am I working so hard for you?
1, 2. So 1's bringing me back to the punch. 2's collapsing it across. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now let's take that same idea. Let 2 breaths out, and you're gonna pop 1, 2. Pop, 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 pop. Get that full extension before you go. Here we go. 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 And if you're watching, if what I'm feeling in my upper body in these strikes is as I'm extending this elbow, I'm pulling my hand back to me. So it's almost giving me that same motion, my push and pull that I'd find if I was just rechambering my punches. I'm just doing it on a smaller scale. 1 is going out, 1 is moving back. Let's take that same idea and let's start with the roundhouse elbow, breaking that bow. And then as we rotate back, let's pop a back fist in there. So we're going to break it down first. Elbow, back fist, elbow, back fist. Just that slow. Ready? And 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Let's put them both together. So in, out, and really loosen up the hips for this one. Move. 2. Move. 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 Think about something that can help you out as well with your body, with your timing, is let that heel click back down on that back fist. So chambers up, and then gravita's gonna pull it back down. Let's do just a few more of those collapses into extensions. And move. 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 And move. Good. So a little bit of lower body warm up, a little bit of upper body warm up. I want to get back into some of the kicks that we've been exploring. Hey, welcome, honey. All right, the Madranos are here. Riley's here. I want to pull a little bit of the scoop kicks because I want to tie those into the techniques that we've been working on as well. So quick reminder of our scoop kicks. Straight up, like our Shaolin kicks, right, where we're lifting the shin up to touch the hand. Right about to groin height, reversing the flamingo back down, thinking of hitting up into the groin with the chin, popping it a second time with the foot on the way out. Now this we can do with both legs. So today to warm both of them up, actually let's do this walking backwards. So we're gonna start in our neutral. We've got the front leg's gonna step the whole way back. That opens up the second leg. So we're just letting the scoop kicks walk us in reverse. I'm gonna take my cover step. When I run out of room, you do the same. If you only have room for 1, for example, just work that same leg maybe 5 times before you switch it. If you only have room for 1, 2, take your cover there, just as you have to. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. keep moving on in the kicks here. I want to take that bouncing drill that we were working on, and I want to work 3 of our basic kicks in a row. The drill's going to go like this. We're going to pull up in our cat. This is going to be our base stance. We're going to fire our front, bounce, roundhouse, bounce, side. So it's going to be a quick touch right back down. Think of it like a trampoline, springboarding you into the next kick. We're going to start this at a slow pace, and we're going to build up to a little bit of a flow. I'm going to face you for this, guys. Like I've been saying with all the drills, you can mirror me and use the same side you see on screen. You can work the other side. We're going to get both of them down today, so not a big issue which one you choose. So guard's going to come up. We're going to pull back into that cat stance, make sure your weight's based on the back leg. And we're going to go kick with the front, hold it. Bounce, rotate, round. Bounce, blade. Back down to cat. We're going to do 4 more at this pace. Up to kick. Bounce, rotate your flamingo. Notice I'm also pivoting my bottom leg. Kick, bounce, blade. Good. Let's try that again. Front, bounce, rotate, kick, bounce, blade, down. Last one. Front, bounce, kick, bounce, kick. If that's the pace you can go through comfortably, don't worry about going any faster on this next round. This round, I'm just going to give you 1 move, and I want you to try without going super fast to make a little flow of it. So what it's going to feel like is kick, bounce, kick, so that I'm not stopping. I'm letting that touch to the ground reset me for just a split second, ricochet up. It's also a trick that I can use in my sparring, is when I set that foot down psychologically to the person I'm facing, they're saying, oh, you're done kicking. And then I bounce it back up again and I fire that second kick. Let's give it a shot. Second chamber, we got 5 of these now. And move. Kick, bounce, kick, bounce, kick. Back into that cat. Nice, guys. And move. Try to make all of them clean. Don't go too fast and muddy it up. Move. Kick, bounce, kick, bounce, kick. Good. Last one at this tempo. Move. Kick, bounce, kick, bounce, kick. All right. Here's the challenge round. If that's already a challenge for you, stay at that tempo. But now I want you to push yourself to make that as fast as you can. A little bit of springboard off of it. Like I said, try not to let the technique get muddy. So go as fast as you need to, as fast as you feel you can. Here we go. Pull back into that cat and move. Kick, kick, kick.
Nice.
And moving. You can also scroll down on the bottom of that column if you want to see more certain.
Cool.
And move. Kick, kick. There you go.
Hey, Riley.
And 3 more. Move. Kick, kick.
Rachel.
Last one. Kick, bounce, kick. Good.
Cruz.
Shake that up. If you're working these at speed, kicks are a great way to get some cardio without even working on cardio, skipping your running. Let's get a little stretch in that leg since we were just working it. Straighten that leg, then the other leg. We're going to put our hands just above the hamstring and think about, just above the knee. It is a hamstring stretch. Let the shoulders come down to the knee. Best you can. I'm getting my stretch right here. Use your breathing, slow down the heart rate. This is a quick little breather before we switch to the other leg. Good. Bend that leg. Straighten the back leg. And back up. All right. Opposite leg, whichever leg you were posting up on, that's going to be your kicking leg. We're going to break this down 5, 5, and 5 again. Slow pace, medium pace, and then test yourself pace. So start in your guard. Pull that cat back, straighten your hips forward. And we've got front. Hold it so it gives you a chance to know where the brain's going into the body for your positioning. Bounce, switch your flamingo. Kick. Bounce, switch to flamingo. Ooh, that one's tight for me today. Let's try that again. Cat. Front. Bounce. Round. Bounce. Side. I'm going to keep that a low blade for now. My high kick doesn't want to work on that leg yet. Front. Bounce. Round. Bounce. Side. There we go. Sometimes it helps to slow it down. 2 more. Front. Bounce. Round. Bounce. Side. Last one at this pace. Front. Bounce. Round. Bounce. Side. All right, now's our flow. That's how the pace is going to pick up. We're not going to take that pause after the reflamingo. We're just going to go right from one to the other. Let's get our cat. Everything in order. And front, bounce, round, bounce, side. Make sure you're taking your pivot on that second flamingo. Go. Front, round, side. Go. Front, round, side. Go. Front, round, side. Last one at this pace. Front, round, side. All right, here's your tester. Get that rapid bounce. Best you can do without losing your specificity. Drive your cat and move. 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Move. 1, 2, 3. Also, great hip workout. 4, 1, 2, 3. 3 different foot shapes. 1, 2, 3. All right, shake that out. Let's stretch out that opposite leg, the one we were just kicking with now. Bend the back leg, straighten the front, toes are up, hands just above the knee. Let's bring the shoulders towards that leg until you feel the stretch. Breathe there for a second. Now we're going to bend that leg, drop the back leg, slight bend, engage the core, engage the glutes. And good. Come on back up. All right. So before we finish with the little technique ideas, I know Harmony had a request to look at a technique today. We'll make sure we hit that. I want to go back to those collapses and explore using those in our tempo ideas. So we're going to start right from our yellow belt. Yellow belt, especially if you're a higher rank, is a great place to explore some of your advanced concepts like finger set, coordination set, a lot of your endings to techniques that you're starting to learn. Plug them in and creative right, because yellow belt is a really basic, effective framework. I want to take the technique attacking mace. We're just going to use our, and this is a multiple choice for you. You can either take your step back and inward block or step forward and inward block. For the purpose of the drill, not important, as long as we're timing our marriage of gravity and our neutral bow. So after this inward block, we can either hit our forward bow, You can break the bow a little bit. Once again, multiple choice here. I am going to keep my checkup. Now from here, I'm going to work on my collapse, but I have to close range and I have to back up my mass. So what I'm going to have to do is either execute a push drag or a step drag to bring body behind that elbow. You'll also notice that my knee is dropping, my hips are turning a little bit more. So I get some torque, I get some marriage of gravity. So once again, I've got block, punch, collapse. That's it. Let's work that at just that pace. Let's keep our 5, 5, and 5. That's a nice little tempo build here. So 1, 4 phonetically. Let's say out all those different power moves. So we're going to break this up on both sides. Block, rotate, punch, rotate, push in, collapse. Good. Back up. 1, step back, block. 2, launch forward. 3, push drag into your collapse. Reset. 1, back and block. 2, fire. 3, collapse. Last one for safety here. 1, 2, 3. Now let's put in our flow. Not super fast, but not taking our little timing breaks in between. And move. Block, punch, collapse. Set. Move. Block, punch, collapse. Reset. Move. Block, punch, collapse. Reset. Block, punch, collapse. Whoop, took a step on that one. I was trying to remember what the count was. Do that one more time. And move, block, punch, collapse. There it is. Now let's try to add a little bit more timing on this one. Remembering that the speed comes from your hips. Don't let your hands move faster than your feet and your hips. Make your arms catch up to what your hips are doing. And 5, let's blast it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Any questions so far? Either on this collapsing that we're starting to explore, or any other movement that we've done in our warm-ups? Nope. Awesome. Let's keep. You had a question, Armine? Believe you guys can unmute yourself. Go ahead and just.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you resetting that elbow, or are you going straight from point of origin?
I'm not going to reset on a collapse. So if you have a technique where you're launching this arm, for instance, gathering clouds, right? I don't want to pull this back and blast. For most people, that actually messes up your timing. It's almost counterintuitive. But whenever students come in and they wind that elbow back, they're missing the timing with the body and they're throwing their alignment off for the target with the backup mass. I want that to hit right from here. Pop. The body's going to take care of that windup. Good question. So no wind-ups. Think of, and one way you can work that idea, Armine and everybody else, is without your hips to isolate just the upper body. Think of pulling that top part of the arm back and turning the shoulder into it. That's your collapse right there. And you feel the speed and the power just in the shoulders. The missing component, whenever you put the hips back in, is going to complete that puzzle. Awesome. Great question. Let's keep jamming here. So let's take that same idea. I'm going to stick with right side of the body for now, working on our primary, because I want to give you guys another example of this. Let's take an idea from the inside now. So using my inward block, this is going to work the best on the outside of a straight. Could I still use it on the inside, imagining a hook over here? Absolutely. A lot of our concepts we can use on the inside and the outside of the body, but let's build one right for that inside of the strike and make it a hook strike, a hook punch this time. So this is going to be a little bit modified version of our shielding hammer. We're going to want to use the backhand tied to our back hip in our forward bow or broken bow motion on this one. So we're going to compact this outward strike and make it more of our tank guard here, more of our cover. And when I do this, I'm not putting my knuckles next to my hand. I'm either closing it above, connected to my skull where it's not going to ding me, or I'm going to keep that open. From this motion, I'm going to let my rotation of my hips put the arm out, exposing the elbow and the forearm, and I'm going to launch into my palm strike to the face. So that's one. On this one, let's take our full step forward in this one for our collapse. Now, here's another multiple choice here. I'm gonna give you both versions of this because the motion I'm showing you right now is my driving elbow. But just like we learned in Orange Belt in our twisted twig off of the wrist lock, that driving can very easily turn into my rising elbow. We're going to hit that driving elbow first, though, because we've just knocked the chin back with that palm strike. That exposes this central target beautifully right here, the chest plate, the solar plexus on down. So what we're going to work now is our straight line into our forward drive. And you know what, since we're there, why don't we pop that back up? But we want to hit that driving motion before we rise. We want to bring the head back down. Let's move that phonetically, smoothly, and then let's rock it out. So we've got 1, walk with my palm. 2, step into the collapse. 3, rise that elbow all the way up. Good, reset that. 1, cover and blast. 2, collapse with the step in. 3, bring it back up to pop that chin. I'll turn the other way so we get 2 views on this. We've got 1, boom. 2, drop in. 3, rise. Last one before we put in our flow. 1, 2, 3. Now, before we put the flow in here, I want you to get rid of the upper body for a second and focus on the lower. This rotation is what's going to let me keep moving. So think about almost when you let this palm go, there's an imaginary string that keeps pulling you into that collapse so that your momentum doesn't stop. So I'm going to pop, pop. There's a shave off in that timing from the one into the other, like a wave crashing in. So let's try that flow. So I have boom, boom, up. I've got walk, palm, collapse, up. Walk, palm, collapse, up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. for you guys. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. All right, let's put a little blast behind it. See if we can keep that same tempo. Let the hips and the footwork articulate for you. Blast it out. Here we go. Move. Hips and feet. Move. Move. And move. 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 And move. One more thing you can think about in this timing. I didn't put it in there because we're working on the collapse, but anytime you have that step, always opens up to a knee or a kick. So this palm could easily lead into my knee. Here's why I didn't include that in the lesson. Going back to Armine's question, when I put that knee in there, I'm already adding a strike. So that strike gives me time to pull that elbow back a little bit and wind up for whatever version of that elbow I want to use. That works in harmony with my coordination upper and lower body. Any questions so far on both of those collapsing concepts? Awesome. Something you can explore anytime you have an extended strike. Any of your punches, your chops, your palm strikes. Good chance to collapse that elbow in and bring in the big guns, as long as it's body-based torque and mass driven. All right, so I want to go back to those scoop kicks and take the same idea. We're going to start back at yellow belt, and we'll bring in orange belt, and how we can start using those scoops as a little bit of an exit in whatever technique that we're working on. So right from delayed sword, real quick review. Everybody should have this in your body. I'll mirror you for this one. Once again, choice whether you want to work the grab or just the movement, maybe against the punch or stopping that grab before it comes in. Kick, chop. Now from here, what dictates when I use that scoop kick? It's almost the same as if the distance as if I use my instep for my front kick. Is how close am I and where is my foot in relationship to the center line between the legs. This ending to delayed sword gives me a good chance, especially if I'm landing in with that chop. As I cross out, if I exaggerate that first leg on the cross out, there's my scoop into my cross, and I add one more little nip if I need it for some safety on my exit. So I'm gonna work that 3 more times with you guys, and then I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna let you explore that on your own. So we've got our delayed sword, block, kick, chop, right into the scoop, exit. It's gonna be that front leg, gets you right under the groin. 2 more. Move. Last one together. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is our addition. Working on your own for a second. I'm just gonna spot check everybody, see how we're moving. Yep. Easy little exit. Nice, you guys got this one. Let's move up a belt rank. Let's go to orange belt. Let's look at 5 swords. So 5 swords, once again, I'm gonna mirror you all. We've got our attack to the arm, our block chop forward bow, neutral bow punch, move up the circle, unwind. Now, if you're in your browns, you've probably already started exploring. We have our built-in Kempo syllabus endings to this, but let's go right from this chop. And those of you who have explored green belt or blue belt, you'll see this chop also lends to a pull low with a pull high. So now I've got this scoop again, and I can mirror it with the upper body on the way out. Once again, base technique, strike, forward bow, neutral bow, bless you. Step up the circle, chop, finish your chop. 2 scoops of raisin bran on the way out. One more time through. I think you guys are picking this up pretty quickly. Not a difficult concept. Just a little unorthodox kick that we don't necessarily explore too much outside of the techniques to teach it, but a really useful tool to send you on your way after your defense here. This is also something you can apply at the obscure angle of your opponent or at the rear of your opponent. If the foot's there, you've got your scoop on the way out. Questions so far? Rocking and rolling? Thumbs up around? Awesome, Red. A little rainbow thumbs up from Army Day over there. I like it. One more little idea I want to throw in there before we finish with some leap of depth for Miss Army Day is a little bit of crossing over. And you can think of, we're going to work on a front crossover. This can either be towards our opponent or away from the opponent. And the only thing I want you to try right now is just like we'd work our step drag or our shuffle, let's put a little bit of strike, marriage of gravity behind it. Let's keep it simple. Let's work the back fist. So I'm going to use what starts out as my front leg arm. I'm going to go ahead and check with the back leg and work on sticking marriage of gravity. Once again, this isn't going to be a stance that I'm going to hold for a long period of time because it's not our most stable stance. But I want to get used to finding that stability, that balance, that settle, just like I would if I was landing with my step forward or my step drag, my push drag. So let's grind this out. Let's do 10 on each side. 1, 2. Notice I'm also using a little vibrational transfer with that checking arm. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Let's switch it up. Let's take it in the other direction just to balance it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Boom. Once again, let's add this to our ending and our technique. So I'm feeding you guys, and this comes from your as early as your blues, your greens, and this cross out idea that we're looking at comes into the browns. But a little bit, one more shot. If we're still being pursued or we need that extra space and time for our exit here, adding a retreating strike as we gain some distance from our attacker. So once again, doesn't really matter what technique. Let's just move up to purple. Let's take parting wings. So off of the push, the base technique. I'm going to mirror for you guys. Step back. I've got my outward hand swords, forward sword into the ribs with my check. Neutral chop. Check goes down, either your phoenix or your vertical fist, whichever you prefer today. Now from here, let's say we're getting a little blow back forward or a little last attempt to grab on. We're going to rotate out. We're going to cross into our back fist on the way out. So I've got 1, outward hand sword, 2, into the ribs, neck, solar, cross. There's my timing. Those of you who have also explored it and experienced it, we have a chance for our little old man style soccer kick to take the leg out along with that crossover. So picturing hitting just under the lower shelf of the calf here, kicking and lifting with that crossover. Don't picture it as leg driven. Let that be body driven. So I'm driving my whole mass through that cross out into my landing. So that's the only thing you need to add for a little bit of lower body manipulation to add to that upper body strike. And of course, in this version, I don't pause my cross out. I let that flow through so that I'm still exiting. So what does that look like? Once again, the whole technique, not a whole lot of change. We've got to step back, chop, chop, forward, extending that, my crossover. All right. Let's see here. Final thoughts of the day. Let's look at some leap of death. So leap of death is one going to take our basic stances, all 3 of them, the neutral, the forward, and the reverse, and an idea that we started exploring back in orange with crashing wings, where we hit our reverse, our neutral, our forward. We see that motion a lot in our Kempo, whether it's one direction or whether we take that and reverse it from the 12 and 6 or the 130 to 730, our complementary angles. Off of this technique, off of a front 2-knuckle punch, we're looking at stepping back, catching that punch with an outward parry, turning it into a grab, and here's where that first stance change comes into play. I want to keep guiding that punch past me so that I can attack the elbow as I land into that reverse bow, trying to really put some pain into that arm strength. From here, I'm going to keep that energy that I've built up, and I'm going to return it fully in the other direction with a forward bow, back 2-knuckle into the floating ribs or the liver. Last, I'm going to turn that angle again, and here's where there's a little variation in this arm aim. If you have, depending on your arm length and where you're positioning, we can either catch up and under the shoulder for our forward bow takedown, or we can use the palm strike to manipulate down. That's going to be probably a decision we're going to have to make once we have a body to work on. But let's just review up to there. because the whole second half is a little tap dance in place on the floor. So we have one. And this time I'm going to mirror it for you guys so that we're all working on the same side. If that messed up your brains, I apologize. I'm always working on mirrors whenever we're doing these Zoom classes. And I can also turn if that helps as well. But punch comes in, I catch, I redirect, and I grab. Tricky maneuver to try to pull off. I rotate into my reverse. There's my hyperextension, hopefully. I rotate again and I catch the ribs. I rotate again and I either catch with my forearm and up and over or with my palm. I'm throwing them down. I want to try to place them right along the ground next to me. Last time. Punch comes in. Catch. Reverse. Forward. Forward, technically, because we're facing all that distinguishes a forward and a reverse throw is where the opponent is. Good so far? Yep. If you're struggling with this lower ranks, that's okay. We're working on some browns. Get the hip motion, get as much as you can. So now let's add to this. I'm gonna turn sideways on this one so we get a little bit better view. Let me turn this way so I can go my normal direction. Parry, hyperextend, back fist, under, and take down. Right from that takedown, I'm gonna let that forward take me right into my hop. It shouldn't be a really big flop. And I'm thinking about my heels catching right at the edge here and pinching or almost getting a little bit of kidney. Should incite up head back reaction, which we're going to take advantage of and double heel palm to the base of the skull. Here's where we got to use our imagination a little bit. We're imagining that strike hits the head and it bounces. So we're going to hit, bounce, catch on the bounce. I'm going to use my tiger stance as I pull up so that I'm pinning and I'm compressing. From here, I place my left hand on the back. I hyperextend or break. From that movement, head should be up. I catch the nose. I use my hip, palm the back of the head, and I launch right out into a downward looping ball to the head. Now, once again, we say this all the time. You're facing your own moral and legal issues once you're doing this to somebody on the ground. But learn the motion. Good to know what we can use up. We can also use down. And you never know. At least you can say, hey, I'm never going to use this. But some good hip motion in there. Even this idea. If I have someone on the ground here, I want you to picture this. Good little lesson out of this technique. Let me grab this guy right here. Something to think about. If I knock somebody over and I end up in this position here, right? This is great. All my appendages are free and I still have my pin. If I end up here though, I still have safe recourse, whether they're facing me or they're down. One, just dropping that knee, since there's a base underneath, I have a strike there. I can work on my kneels as strikes. Two, if I do need to use the upper body, I just mirror what the lower body's doing. So a little side lesson there. Let's go back to the actual technique one more time. Punch comes in, step back and catch, affect the floating ribs, take them down, right into my stomp. Kick, fork, crank, chop, palm, kick. Get out. Questions? Comments?
It's a wild technique.
It is a wild technique. Even, and the other thing I'll say, Armine, is even the idea of catching a punch is super difficult. It's a skill. One, you have to practice just that sensitivity over and over again. It has to be a very specific type of punch, committed punch. You're not going to pull that off if somebody's throwing one or two. So take, this is one, take the lessons within it, right? Have somebody punch in whenever we have the chance again. Have somebody throw in different types of strikes and see if you can actually work that timing. The manipulation to the ground. We've seen that in other techniques already to certain effects with our grasp of death, with our crossing talon. Use of the hips is nothing new. And then take the little bit more practical idea of using my knees, not compensating my back, still getting strikes. I don't even have to hit you with my hand. I can just pop you with my knees. Those shots on the ribs and anywhere on the body are gonna stink when the ground's underneath you. Any other questions today? Anything that's on your mind? Anything that we covered or didn't cover that's bugging you? We have a couple minutes left. I don't mind if we go a little bit over today, but I always want to open it up to you all. Exclamations, proclamations. Kicking drill, yep, absolutely. That'll work out your hips. I'll kind of leave you. Alana gives a thumbs up. Thumbs up to you, Alana. Good to see you in class today. You can work that same idea as well. I'll leave you with a couple thoughts since that came up. Work that same drill. You can do the same kick, or you can work it different heights. I can do the same thing with my roundhouse, right? And it gives me a chance to work quick hips and reflexive style kicking. You can do it with your side kick. You can do it with your back kick. I also want to start working. I finally got down kicking set 2. So that one's a beast when you first learn it, but it gives us a chance to explore chicken kicks in every direction, to the front, to the back, to the side. It goes over scoop kicks again and rear scoops, and then it finishes with some of those nice, just sophisticated kicking techniques. We have our front, back, side. I stole this a little bit from the end of that set, which is going to give you the ball roundhouse into the side kick. So just like I tell you guys, take your basics and see how many different ways you can stretch them out. Do them sitting down, do them hopping, do them running, do them on different angles. It's all the same motion. All right. Let's, I think I'm going to bring back our little Qigong just to cool down and finish with a little meditative movement. Once again, this is called Tu Tien Shi. I think that's right. I'm sure I'm butchering it a little bit. Or push the sky in English. And remembering the breathing is in through the nose, out through the nose, and filling up the diaphragm, exiting diaphragm. Yes, sir.
Before you end everybody, just let Army know that I have a bunch of notes that should stick around us.
You got it. All right. So we're gonna start feet together. And when I'm just gonna give you in and out, or I'll move a little bit closer. Try to listen to the breathing. All right. Nice strong front positions. Happy Thursday. Awesome movement. Always so good to see you guys working out and jamming. Show respect. Step out. And up. Armine, hang out for a second. All right. Sensei Donnie just wanted me to let you know if you have a couple minutes here, he was going to stick around and actually come out and go over some notes with you. Perfect. All right. Everybody else, Alana, Honey, Mr. Adam, Madranos, Riley, enjoy your Thursday. Happy day to you all. Salute.
Everybody's welcome to stay for these notes. They're brown belt notes. Adam Haley may want to stay. Anybody who's working on long form 3 and brown belt sheet, anybody who's willing to stay, I've got notes for Armine. You may get something out of it. Okay. Okay.
And there were 4.
Who's chatting?
That might be an old one. Yep. That's
Okay. All right. Good. Who's in? Okay, cool. What's up, Cruz or Leo or Cruz Leo, Leo Cruz? Whoever you are behind that dark screen. So